The late 2000s. What a time to play video games. It seemed that technology was only getting better and better, with consoles revolutionizing the market. Everyone was racing to the stores to get their hands on these consoles so that they could be a part of the hobby that was playing video games. With the popularity of games such as Halo 3 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 rising to unprecedented heights, and the motion-controlled craze of the Nintendo Wii supporting a plethora of games that the whole family could play, it seemed that there was no better time to get into video games. This surge in popularity was perfectly joined with the creation of a small website that we now know as YouTube, which allowed all of those who were infatuated with these new games to share their adventure and best moments that they had while playing with friends. Though not everyone was new to posting videos, there were some who brought their previous online presence onto this new platform that showed a mastery of the craft of making videos. These YouTubers were masters of their art and could make video upon video on the games that they loved, always keeping their content fresh and their viewers entertained. One of the most prolific examples of this was Cinemassacre, or as he is better known as, the Angry Video Game Nerd. The Angry Video Game Nerd style of video was much different than the average YouTuber at the time, as he showed such a strong disdain for the games that he played that they would often send him into a blind rage due to how bad they were. Obviously, this type of personality drew in thousands of viewers, who all around to see what game would make the Angry Video Game Nerd go into his next blind rage. He also had a habit of bringing in reoccurring characters to the show. The biggest example of this would be his enemy, Looney Tunes character Bugs Bunny, who he would often get into physical altercations with during one of his reviews. The popularity of the Angry Video Game Nerd style of commentary was not lost on the rest of the early YouTube community. However, as many copycats started to come out of the waterworks to try to get their own piece of that sweet monetization pie. Though some of these commentators would gain some traction before evolving into their own styles, others would simply ride the Angry Video Game Nerd wave until their channels would fizzle into nothing but videos lost in the sea of content that is modern-day YouTube. As the 2010s came along, YouTube became less of an odd hobby that only few achieved success in and morphed into a household name that anyone with a camera and a channel fresh enough to draw in viewers could make some money off of it. And money they did make, so much in fact that many people made it their full-time job. Rather than going to college to end up in some dead-end job, many began to aspire to be a widely popular content creator with hundreds of thousands of fans who view you as a pseudo-celebrity. Now, for the first time in history, video games were looking like less of a hobby and more of a career. However, like with any lucrative market, mass popularity leads to a gross oversaturation. The river once rife with gold was now panned to death, and those searching for it would have to have Lady Luck on their side. However, for some, the Angry Video Game Nerd horse had still not been beaten to death, and one more whack could make it explode, with the candy that was a following of children not quite old enough for the harsh language that the Angry Video Game Nerd had littered throughout his videos would feast on until their stomachs were as bloated as YouTube itself. The beaten piñata was like a racehorse limping late onto the racetrack, somehow persevering through with what can only be called sheer will and a personality too loud and obnoxious to fail. This horse is Chadtronic. So here we are, in the middle of 2021 and at the end of a pandemic, and you're probably thinking, why should I care about what this guy has to say about Chadtronic? Well, it's been a while since my last video, approximately like 2 years, I believe, and if you look at any of my other videos, I mean, it's a lot different than what I normally do. But, you know what hasn't changed though? Chadtronic, or Chad Bergenstrom, or at least according to Google's front page, that is his name. But you and me, Chad, we know that's not true. But I digress. See, Chad, we're here not to talk about your personal details. We're here to talk about why your channel is like the stale saltine cracker that's been left out in the kitchen for the ants to enjoy. You see, most YouTubers will evolve their content over time, thus growing their channel, and then that will create this continuous cycle that will gather them more viewers. Chadtronic has unfortunately forgone this evolution of content and instead gone with the route of cementing himself in the sort of content that I guess some would maybe say has faded away since 2016. Alas, Chad, you did not. And now, unfortunately, we are left with a channel that acts as a time capsule that goes back to the humor and enjoyment of the 2010s. Chadtronic as a channel is rife with the sort of humor that most would describe as loud equals funny. Looking for witty humor and a clever commentary on the video game or subject being reviewed in this video, well, then Chadtronic is the last person you'd want to watch. Now, if you're a 10 or 12-year-old that thinks screaming frick at the camera and smashing baby Yodas with a hammer is the epitome of comedy, then you know who to subscribe to. This video mention makes me sad, as it is obviously a lazy attempt to capitalize of the trends that appeal to younger audiences who, as we all know, will click on anything that will grab onto their short attention span. In fact, one look through Chadtronic's channel will show a sickening amount of bright colors plaguing the screen and thumbnails with popular characters just begging to be clicked on by a child on their mother's iPad for the 8th hour that day. And what do these enthralling thumbnails lead you to when you make the fatal mistake of clicking on them? Well, not much. In fact, Chadtronic can't really seem to decide what his channel is all about. Now, I'm not saying that having a diverse portfolio of content is a bad thing. How could it be? There's something for everyone to watch. What I'm saying, however, is that Chadtronic doesn't really seem to have an identity beyond that of kid-friendly, angriest video game nerd who also plays with toys here and there. And when he doesn't have a new toy made for kids to gawk over as he incoherently babbles, what does he do? Well, he slaps together a low-effort episode from one of his many series. I mean, oh boy, aren't you just itching to watch episode 86 of Cursed Commercials where Chadtronic giggles and screams about how ugly these commercials from 25 years ago looked? Or how about that series where he watches some of the most unfunny YouTube poops in existence that he most likely paid some sack to make? If none of those are to your liking, there's always videos where he pokes fun at some weird product or toy from old and comments on it like a great value JonTron. And see, there it is again. Another comparison to a popular YouTuber that is leagues more entertaining than Chadtronic. You would think that with all these other options to watch, that Chadtronic would be nowhere near as successful as he is. And yet he still perseveres. I mean, it's not like he's struggling for views or subs. He's just recently passed 800,000 subscribers back on June 3rd. And where there are subscribers, there are business opportunities, especially when your audience is comprised of children whose birthday money is burning a hole in their pockets. So from a business standpoint, creating cheap clothing and other merchandise based upon bright, colorful characters is a great way to increase revenue beyond the YouTube channels. Oh, and what's this? A new Chadtronic product coming soon to you? Finally! After buying all the Yo-Yo Joyco merchandise, I was wondering what to get next. Guess what, kids? Poglings are coming to a website near you. What I can only imagine is based on the hilarious meme, get your Pogling merch now for the low price of $49.99. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure it'll be as original and creative as the rest of Chadtronic's channel, so you're sure to enjoy it. Well, as long as you can get your mother's credit card from her purse. And what's more disheartening, that the blatant sellout from Chadtronic is the fact that before his YouTube career, he was actually coming up with fresh ideas. And ideas such as Midwest electronic gaming, which brought esports to an area where there weren't as many opportunities for gamers to show off their skills. Now I assume that Chad still keeps up with Midwest electronic gaming, but let me just check online. Yep, there it is. Midwest Electronic Gaming, founded by Tony Williams and Chad Brunsvold? Wait a second. But according to Google, it says Chad Bergstrom. But that doesn't make sense. Why are there two different last names for Chadtronic? Now, I get that big YouTubers don't have to share all their personal details with the public, but come on, what's the point? Like, if you're gonna make a fake last name, at least go all out, man. Chad Brunsvold to Chad Bergstrom? Yeah, no one's ever gonna figure that one out. But here's the weird thing. Good old Brunsville's got a channel of his own. 2, actually. Not that it matters, though, since Chad Brunsville has no videos and FragFinder doesn't show any sign of making a return. Now, you may be thinking, where's he going with all this? Well, sorry to spoil the fun, but I'm not going anywhere with that. I just thought it was funny that he's got a fake last name. I guess you could say that it's another example of a lack of identity, but even I'll admit that's a bit of a stretch. At the end of the day, when I look at Chadtronic, I don't really see a YouTuber that cares what he pulls out. The facade of energy and excitement over children's toys may hide the true nature of Chadtronic from many younger viewers, but to most, it's apparent. See, Chadtronic isn't a person or a group of fun-loving adults who want to connect with the nostalgia of their childhood and bring in the next generation of Nintendo lovers. It's a business that looks at what's trending on YouTube Kids, spices it up in After Effects, and half-heartedly tosses it to you as if he's saying, yeah, I don't think I can do much better than that. Now, I don't think Chadtronic will ever see this video. I mean, he's a busy man. It has to be hard work acting like you care to interact with an audience half your age. How many times do you think opening a new Pokemon toy stayed fresh to Chadtronic? 2, maybe 3 times? After that, it's got to be like torture to sit there like a monkey clapping the cymbals together for the children to laugh at. Screaming at the camera day in and day out has to take a mental toll on a 32-year-old man. But that little green dollar sign makes it all better, huh? Like rubbing alcohol hitting a festering wound, the momentary pain of acting like you actually care is quickly soothed by the sweet relief that your audience of elementary schoolers is funding your next vacation. So congratulations, Chadtronic, and I hope you keep doing what you're doing, because why quit while you're still ahead, right? The kids grow up and get replaced, but the screaming man-child never seems to go.